Afternoon, everybody. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you. This is Agrod. I'm the founder and CEO of Splinterlands, and we got a whole crew of people here today. I guess I have. Why don't you guys go and do a quick introduction? I'm seeing Bulldog, Hardpoint, Nate, WeirdBeard, and 16-bit. If you guys could go do quick intros and just say who you are and what you do around here. Bulldog.
Hello, I'm Bolok. I'm the community manager. I lead up the Discord and other social areas.
Awesome. Hardpoint.
Hi, I'm Hardpoint. I lead up the technology side, creative, engineering, and product.
Nate.
I hack from the shadows. But when I'm not doing that, I oversee UX, UI, art, animation, things of that nature.
Sweet. WeirdBeard.
I do esports tournaments, brawls, anything that's competitive and head-to-head. That's my world.
And 16-bit.
Hey, I'm 16-bit, and when I'm not tormenting WeirdBeard, I am heading up sales here at Splinterlands.
Awesome. So this will be the main crew guiding us on our voyage this evening throughout the Splinterlands to go talk about what's going on. We have a special guest, and I think I'd like to go start with that special guest, and let's get him on here. His name is Grant James, and he is with a group called BREEDfi. Do you want to go talk about that, Grant?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Coming in beautifully.
All right. Yeah, my name is Grant James with BREEDfi. We're a guild, so we have about 5,000 scholars that play NFTs across 25 or 30 different games. Big believer in Web3, where it's going. And Splinterlands has always been one that's been on my list, but didn't really know how to get involved, and then ran into some of the guys up at NFT NYC, and they're teaching me the ropes on how it works. And yeah, just super excited about getting more involved with the community as a whole. I think it's awesome that you guys even have this, because I advise on like 30 different games, and very, very few of them have stuff like this. So you guys are in a really good spot with that.
Yeah, thank you. When we build games around community, economy, and gameplay. And this is part of that community, is making sure that we're delivering information to our player base, and that our player base has an opportunity to interface with us and change the direction of where our business is going. A lot of these guilds, they come with different like mentalities or goals. What's the ethos? Can you talk about the ethos of your guild and why you're building it, how you got started, and is there a purpose beyond just simple money making, or is it what's the goal?
That's a good question. So I'm an MLG Halo player. I've been doing LAN parties at my house since I was like 18 years old, and I am in my early 40s at this point. Originally from Dallas, Texas, where John Carmack's from, and so the frag was big where I grew up. And yeah, when I was 17, we got like $50,000 worth of hardware and software donated from Cisco and a bunch of gaming companies to host these big LAN parties, and people would fly in from all around the United States to compete. And I guess as far as goals go, yeah, I just think that Web3 is where everything is going. Asset ownership is probably the most important piece, whether you're into tokens or not. Just having gamers be able to own the stuff, like if you owned Mario or whatever, like that's a pretty big deal. And just kind of, I guess, along for the ride. We are in the middle of doing a capital raise right now for the stuff that we're doing. It's actually more focused on our ad platform than it is on our guild. We're building the first ad platform in the metaverse, and it's pretty exciting. As far as work stuff goes, I own an ad agency. I've been doing that for 12 years, and a lot of games do not have the economy that you guys do. I think that's a huge blessing that you have, that it's been such a focus. And you've done some behind the scenes. I might quiz you guys for like 2 hours trying to figure out how you have 250,000 daily active users and a 5-cent token. Like, it's been a tough one to understand, but I think I finally have come to an understanding of why that is. And I think that you'll see more guilds moving your direction, especially as rentals become easier and some of these different solutions out there, like what Capitalist DAO's doing, Nifty Arcade, and those guys are doing, Meshable. There's lots of different wallet solutions that are, I think, going to help bring in probably new types of players that you guys haven't seen as much of. But I think you're leading the way, and it's exciting. So glad to be a part of it.
So you have 5,000 scholars that you're working with. Like, how much do you interface with them? How much is it the guild? How much is automated? Like, what's that experience
Yeah,
look
so I mean, the biggest pain point for guilds is all the wallet stuff and payment systems. If you can't do automatic payments, it's really hard to do past about 50 scholars in any given game. So that's why you see things like Pegaxi, the way that it took off, and behind the scenes, big guilds like YGG, Avocado, we all use different automated systems to handle payments, because sending, X amount of dollars every couple weeks to all these different people it's quite the task to do that. So we definitely, as far as the guild side of things, like it takes a lot of work, but I think another really big pain point, I have a full-time breeding manager that goes in and breeds all these different NFTs and stuff in various games. And I think a lot of where the future is going is a way for lots of people to get involved. So different types of managers, different players being able to go in and take a look at all the inventory that's there and say, hey, I want to swap this for this. And kind of make those decisions without it taking single people doing that. So kind of like even more decentralized than it is now for guilds. So
when you're looking at Splinterlands, and you and I have talked about a couple of different. I guess let's start with some of the concerns when you think about bringing in 5,000 scholars, and maybe not just to Splinterlands, but when you think about a community that big. What are your biggest fears in terms of like bringing in a sizable scholar program?
Yeah. So one thing that's unique about your game versus a lot of games out there is you have buyers, right? So you have a lot of more traditional players where the people playing the game own the assets. But in the guild scholar relationship, there's something we call like the scholar dilemma. And that's basically when you bring in a group of people that they don't own anything, and their mentality is typically just dump a token. Like, what does that do? And in smaller games, it causes a lot of problems because we typically go after games we can have at least 500 scholars in. And so when we do that, and especially if you're in games with certain guilds that I will not mention on this stream, but a lot of them mandate like 70% of the tokens go to scholars, 10% go to the managers. And so you're talking about 80% getting dumped over and over and over again. And that's different from what you're used to with players reinvesting. So it's great because you can get a good hit from daily active users, but the question I'll ask games typically is, I'll say, what is your plan to burn tokens for people that don't own any assets in your game? Do you have something that they can own? And along the lines of like, equipment or upgrades or things like that they can bring to the table and win more in order to kind of like balance that out. But what I've kind of come to grips with Splinterlands that's really unique versus a lot of different games is the way that you guys have never stopped minting is actually really unique, because a lot of games go in and they do their initial mints, or do they do it a couple times, and then that's kind of like their revenue source right there. But you guys have been profitable for such a long period of time, I think like 4 years or something like that. And I think the way that your token hedges against buying with a credit card versus getting some type of a discount and buying in crypto, which fills up your liquidity pool, is very, very innovative actually. And a lot of groups don't do that. So I think that adds a lot of your longevity plus your nodes and some of those types of things. So it's super impressive from a tokenomics standpoint.
Yeah, thank you. When people come here and they get here and they say, oh, I know what that is. It's a trading card game. And then not very long after, they're like, wait, how does this work? And then not long after that, they're like, wait, no, seriously, how does this work? Because there's so many different moving parts to the economy.
Yeah.
From the airdrop that ends in 9 days to asset ownership to renting to trading to ranked rewards to tournament rewards to the brawl rewards to like literally there's probably like 13 to 15 different ways to earn in this game. And I think that that level of complexity can be daunting for new players. It can be exciting for new players. And I think it's ultimately what keeps us that, you know, we want a robust economy and not just simply get one token and dump it. And, you know, we want it to be where people are incentivized in lots of different ways and where it's really hard to like corner the entire market by just doing one thing over and over. And I think that complexity will help us over and over.
Yeah, I think high level, the stuff that I think it's really cool how you've done allowed people to pay in lots of different tokens. I think that's unique, being able to buy your cards and your NFTs and lots of different tokens. I wish that more games did that. I guess questions I haven't asked you before that I would be interested in knowing, two things. One, what are kind of your plans for cross IP? Because that's a big conversation. So you look at things like Galaxy Fight Club, where they import collections from like 10 different groups, even PFP projects, and allow them to play inside their MOBA, giving them characteristics and utility and things like that. So that, and then just as far as gameplay goes, a lot of games are getting pretty intense with what they can do. And I know from what I've seen with the game, you pick like a main character and then 6 people underneath that, and a lot of it's kind of like auto done for you. And there's a lot of games that are kind of getting hammered in the industry on the skill side of things, and you know, really want more and want to be able to play more and interact more with those NFTs. So I'm sure that you guys have plans for stuff. I don't know what they are, but I'd love to know if you guys have what your kind of thoughts are on cross IP, and also the future of what you want to do with your NFTs for interactivity.
Yeah, so when I have my like CEO hat on and I think what is the most important thing, I always think it's really important to bring new people into this ecosystem. And really like the number of people is going to determine how successful are we at our mission. And it's really both the goal and the measuring stick of overall how are we doing. So intellectual property, doing things like working with the Bored Ape Yacht Club to either do something like an airdrop to them or find, you know, punks and let punk owners get some kind of promo code or prize or something. You know, I don't really want to devalue the player's assets by just like, you know, broadcasting an enormous amount of stuff that to people that haven't bought into the game. But at the same time, some token gift that can make headway or make some news or give somebody some small incentive to be here, I think can be quite powerful. So I'm interested in doing that. But just generally, you know, we've announced plans to make some additional games, and those additional games involve some giant brand partners. Because you can, you know, I look at it and think I can either grind out another, you know, 100,000 or even 10,000 users day by day or whatever that looks like, or I can work with some mega brand that has, you know, a national sports group or a, you know, a giant fandom or whatever, and just try to scoop up users all in one big sweep. So
are you planning on doing
critical.
anything with Are you planning on doing anything with Web 2, like big time style, where they're pulling in like a free to play to, or I don't know, I don't really know how that is in your roadmap.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, where I want us to go is to be a platform for games and allow other people to use our stack. And the people that I think will do that more than anyone else will be Web 2 users that are trying to transition into Web 3, don't want to build all this stuff and just want a scalable solution. So that was one of your questions. One of the questions was how do you work with the other IPs? And then what was the second question again?
Let's see. I think you answered both of them at the same time.
Sweet.
So I think we're totally good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's important to me to allow guild owners and guild operators to come here and have them just sort of like share some of their concerns, share some of what they're excited about. You know, we're excited to have you here. I guess one of the calls to action though is, as Grant is thinking through, how do I interface with my giant guild into Splinterlands, they're going to need some people to go help out, to be those managers, to be the people that are in between. So particularly Monster Mavericks and the people that have large collections in the game and have been here for a while, is it okay for them to reach out to you in Discord here and be able to just say something like, hey, I have a lot of game experience, and maybe they could help you just kind of get a sense of how to build and operate within Splinterlands?
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges with older games, like we got into Axie after a lot of other people did, and we've had to go through 3 or 4 different sessions of buying Axies until we found what was competitive enough to win, especially with a lot of the new metas and how you win AXS and all that type of stuff. So definitely that's like top of mind for us, because we don't want to just we were kind of like a crawl, walk, run type of an approach these days, where instead of just spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in games right out the bat, we want to make sure that everything's stable, we understand the game, what that's like. It's a lot of movement, to be honest. 70 cards per scholar. We're used to like most of our games are 1. Axie's 3. There's a couple of games that are like 4, but it's a lot of stuff in the industry is more 1-to-1. And so I've been getting some tutoring from that NFT group, Nifty Arcade, I think is what they're called, on how to organize that. And it's nice you don't have to send them to different wallets and what have you. But there's still questions that I have as far as like what to buy, what to focus on, because a lot of times like we don't try to go after the biggest, best cards. It's just stuff that's productive enough, because it's a scale thing with guilds. Yep. You're measured by like how many daily active users you have, just like a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that would be awesome if we could see that.
I would say, guys, reach out to Grant. If you're thinking about, how to be efficient with card purchases, what would be a good new player setup, if you feel like you have a good sense of that, go hit up Grant, maybe send him a friend request in chat, and hopefully, try to share some of your experience of being in the Splinterlands. So, awesome. Any last words for us, Grant? Anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, I just continue to be impressed, just across the board, team, tokenomics, infrastructure. And I think that guilds miss out on games like yours. If you look at DAP Radar with the top 50 games, only 3 of them have rentals right now. And guilds can only do things in games that have like some type of a rental system. So I think that the more that some of that stuff gets in place and guilds know about it, you're going to see a big increase in daily active users from that. So super glad to be connected.
Awesome. Well, Grant, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being part of the show. Yep. And really look forward to you, your scholars, and your organization to finding more of a fit here. And hopefully we're a good home for your guys.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So now what I'd like to go do is sort of turn it over to some of the team members just to go give some updates. So why don't we, I guess the roadmap is probably one of the most important things that we look at as a group. So Hardpoint, why don't you give us a quick synopsis of what we've done recently and sort of where we're at, what we're building, what we're doing, and how are we doing?
Thanks, Aggie. Yeah, absolutely. I've updated our public website with the latest roadmap, and I'll drop a copy of that here for everybody as well into our channel. 1 second, dropping it in there. Just got some eye candy. We did. I took another take on it, and
I dig this thing.
This is a new one. We have one of our new people. We have a new member of our team, which we'll probably introduce at some point. That's been helping us. Oh, thanks, Aggie. Just delete mine. So anyway, so some of the big achievements here, and I know Patrick's around here, so we could probably have him get some more detail when he comes on. But one of the big key things was Mild and Modern last week. That went out. We had a couple of small things that we had to address, but honestly, it was flawless. And I want to say big hats off to Cryptomancer and the rest of the team that worked really hard on that. I know he was lead, but that's there was a lot of people involved in getting that out. It wasn't just him. So really big shout out to the whole team getting that out. Really exciting. And then we got right on its heels, we've got the non-card market and Rift Watchers are both getting fully cranked. And while we released our ranked rewards a little bit ago, we've been working really fast and furious on lots of updates that we can put out based on the data that we're seeing. So we also have on the new roadmap the ranked reward updates. You can see that as we're churning through that. So very excited to see those updates. Now those things, as everybody's kind of asked us a lot, I know Matt has addressed this in the past, I'll just say this again for everybody. Remember that the economy, it takes time for us to collect enough data to make data-driven decisions. So that's why we can't just go throw 27,000 changes at our economy. We have to kind of be specifically targeted. We got some really excited changes that are coming up soon that will also improve some of those aspects, but we're locking in on it. And the one thing I like to say with the whole program is that we're iterative and we're constantly working towards our goal of making one of the best games and the best economies in Web3. And it's not something you do overnight, and it's not something you do perfectly the first step. You put something out, you watch, and then you change it, and you keep going until we get it right. So we're driving forward really fast on that. We have people working on land. I know we've mentioned that. So we have a team that's working on that right now. Hopefully we'll be able to show off stuff in the next couple of weeks and months as that kind of gets fully geared up. So really excited, a lot of good things going. And as I think we've been dropping almost every Tuesday and Thursday, and I'll let Patrick speak to this, but we've had a lot of drops going on, and the engineering team and the creative team have been working really, really hard and very closely together. So really excited that. And I just want to say that, guys, there's a lot of people here that are not, on the front lines that are supporting this organization and what we do on a weekly basis. And there's been a lot of improvements to our internal processes, the way we communicate and the way we talk internally. And I got to say, just thinking about the maturity that this organization has changed in just the last couple of weeks and the last 2 or 3 months has been amazing. We've made some significant increases internally, starting to feel like a well-oiled ship, and we're starting to make some really good headway. I can't wait to see the next little bit as these things continue to drop. And this is something I said earlier in the summer. I said, this is going to be a super exciting summer for Splinterlands. And there are things we're not even revealing yet that are coming that is going to make it even more exciting. And what we've released already is a huge achievement. So my hat's off to the team. And I just want to say thank you to the team. And I also want to say thank you to the community for being there and supporting us through this whole thing.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. This is a great time to go introduce PJ. So he's our VP of engineering. PJ, this is the first time that we've had you on to the town hall. Can you give us a background of who you are, what you do, and
yeah, absolutely.
What the hell is a VP of engineering at a company like this?
Yeah, basically just I'm a slave to whatever Richard needs me to do, which is actually pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie, I've absolutely enjoyed coming over and helping this team and also learning about the company. But I came from high frequency trading. I've spent pretty much since 2017 either working in energy or working in high frequency trading. And Richard and I connected at NFTLA, and I showed him some of the cool stuff I was working on. He showed me all the cool things that you guys were working on, and kind of kicked off this conversation about scaling and developing systems that were much more, I would say, componentized with the future of the future plans that we have for the company. So I started talking to them pretty early on, and I was very excited. And then as soon as you guys had me come over, I was fortunate enough to kind of hop in front of the dev team when a lot of these big releases were coming out. Richard had worked painstakingly to get most of the stuff set up, so I don't want to take credit for any of the stuff that was done beforehand. But I will say that it's first of all, a lot of this stuff is already community driven. The people building these things were community players to begin with. And I think that's one of the big differences here. It's like, rather than most games that are out there, which go and raise money and then try to build a game, you guys built a game, built an economy, and then it's scaled out from there. And it's been really, really exciting to see this happen because Richard's absolutely right too. Like, these things take time in order for us to make adjustments to the economy, but that's because we have enough data coming in where we can actually make these changes at scale and watch them have an effect almost immediately right afterwards. So there are a lot of things that are coming out. I think we've done a great job kind of transitioning into this, heads down, let's try to put out as much as we possibly can over the next few months. But it's the team. It's really what it comes down to. Is we have some really, really hardworking people, some really amazing people that have skill sets that are very familiar with the terrain and environment. Cryptomancer putting out Modern and Wild is a feat on its own. And then all the people that supported that to get that out in the time frame that we have is absolutely amazing. So again, I got to give it up to the team. Like, the people here who are working on this stuff know what they're doing and they're professional, right? And that's one of the great things that I saw, especially when I started here, was how easy this would be to integrate. So again, I'm very excited to be here, very glad to be helping out. And, to be a part of something that's growing as fast as this it's kind of a treasure to behold.
So now that Wild and Modern is out, like what are you feeling the most pressure to sort of like crank out next? What's the
yes. So I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about. But yeah, absolutely. So so everything is done in iterations, right? And so we always think in terms of version 1, version 2, version 3, right? And then we do this because we've got a lot of things that are kind of happening behind the scenes in creative as well as in engineering. Plus, we do other projects as well. It could be infrastructure, it could be new ventures that we're getting into, whatever. But I'm excited to actually wrap up all of the stuff that we have for Modern and Wild, and to wrap up everything for Rank Rewards, so we can consider this stuff pretty much the definition of done, right? And that takes a little bit of time. But land, I know we have a lot of diligent work going into. I know some of the other things that we have coming up. I don't know how much we want to speak to those, but I'm not going to lie. Yeah, okay. I am terribly excited, though, to see the direction that you guys are taking this. And I mean, you couldn't ask for a better way to get exposed into, play to earn gaming and economies of scale. This is really it. And I think one of the last things I saw too is that we're like the biggest play to earn game in the world right now. So, this is like super exciting stuff. We're going places that nobody else has really gone, especially with where the market is. I mean, can't tell you how excited I am.
Yeah, if we can hang on and keep building like we're doing at a bear, what's the next bull cycle going to look like? I'm so excited and pumped for it.
That's what we do. We are busy putting things out all the time now, right? So like, it's not these massive changes. We're going to see a lot of incremental changes too, right? Which is going to keep us on pace. We're going to have these consistent things happening that are going to constantly evolve this environment as the market moves. So again, like I said, we have scale now, and this is going to be very, very exciting to see all the great things that we release over the next 12 months.
Awesome. There's another player that's here, another developer that's in the group. This is another new introduction. So PJ was our VP of engineering. Underneath him is I think it's Giemo. I don't know if I'm supposed to emphasize the GIE differently, but Giemo, are you there? Do you want to go talk a little bit about what you do on the development team and your background too?
Yeah, I'm here. Basically, I'm doing everything in regard to Discord and Discord bots. Mainly helping the mod team to help with, if we get ban waves, to get them under control. Or probably most of the guys that are listening currently already know the different roles that are there now. The player role, like getting text updates and whatnot, to be a little less spammy. And then there's also like the trivia bot, which Bulldog did already twice, I think, with some trivia night action. So these are all things that I'm developing or integrating into the Splinterlands Discord server.
And what's the primary purpose of doing that? Like, why are we putting these things in? What are the key benefits that the players will experience because we're doing this?
I mean, most of the communication comes over Discord, and to make Discord like a pleasant place for everyone, like inviting and getting the basically, making it just so that everybody is happy and can enjoy their time in Discord. It's helpful to have these small utilities that gives them a nice experience.
I actually think that's a good segue to another one of our players here. that has turned into community moderator, and that's Bulldog. So Bulldog is leading a lot of the efforts to engage the community. Why don't you start with like, how does integrating bots help the community, and then just can you give us an update on that community and what's important to you these days?
Yeah, so using those bots has definitely helped out a lot. There are so many. I mean, hopefully anybody involved in crypto across the board knows about all the scams that are out there, and you guys have to be extremely careful about any links you click or things like that. So it's unfortunately impossible to completely keep all of those out, but we try to minimize anything that our users are exposed to, and make sure we're stamping out any of those things as soon as they pop up. So having some of that automated is definitely a big help, and keeping security under control.
So give me just an update on Splinterlands, like the socials or how we're doing. Are we engaging our players well? Like what do you see your gig as, and then what are you measuring against, and how are we doing?
So yes, I did not necessarily bring measurement numbers, but there are, like, we can track activity in Discord and those types of things, and we have seen a lot of increase in Discord participation, and the community being more active since the new reward system was put in, since Modern and Wild got here. Overall, it feels like I don't necessarily know how the data in the game backs this up, but it feels like there are more people excited about actually playing their battles and playing the game and then jumping on with the community. So
Yeah,
from
I
a
get
community side,
DMs
that
these
feels like it's up.
days where people are like, thanks to the new reward system, I'm feeling addicted to the game again. I can't stop playing it enough, and I just want to keep going at it. And I've certainly gotten stuff like that over the course of the game, but I feel like my DMs are more heavily that than they have been in a while. So I think the team that put in the ranked rewards did a really nice job. There are a couple more tweaks that we want to make, but those are some pretty big pieces. Do you feel like I guess you're saying that the player base is kind of energized?
Definitely.
Other than just earning rewards, is there anything else that you think they're particularly excited about in your experience, or do you know what they're most anticipating?
I mean, there's all sorts of things coming up that are excited about. As far as anticipating, I think there's a lot of excitement even about this update that is coming on Thursday, with the update with the new rewards, and kind of trying to cut down on some of the advantages that bots have. Bots in the community is always it's always a hot topic, pretty much 24/7. So I think some of the updates coming are going to help with that a little bit. So the community seems to be optimistic about that, and we'll just have to kind of see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I know Matt had no, it hasn't gone out yet. There's another post that's going to be coming out pretty soon, and it talks about how we're going to start doing liquidity provider rewards, which this is in part because the Splinterlands airdrop is ending in something like 9 days. So, we didn't necessarily plan this is exactly how this is going to work, but this is now that we're here, these timings are pretty amazing. That the end of the airdrop, which is something like 33 million tokens per day. It's a ton. That's about to end. And I think overall we give out something like 53 million per day. So we're still in a very much like an inflationary period for SBS tokens, but we're about to drop from 53 million to like 20 million. So it's more than a halving that we're about to experience. I guess we have 8 airdrops left. And then after that, we're going to start putting some back in, one of which is liquidity pool rewards for people that are staking SBS. And so if you're staking it in the Pancake swap pool, the Uniswap pool, some of the pools on Hive Engine, that you'll start earning SBS rewards for staking. So all that to me feels like another pretty big thing to be excited about. Both, hey, rewards are going to be shrinking, but also, the airdrop rewards will be ending so that there's going to be less inflation of SBS. But here are some other additional ways that you can earn it. I don't know. That sounds like a pretty cool time to me. You think that will resonate well with the player base?
Well, yeah, and a lot of players have been waiting on that info to see what they want to do with their DEC. A lot of people are just holding DEC to get the airdrop rewards, and so they haven't known, like, do they want to convert it to packs? Do they want to hold on to it to put it in the pools? So there's a lot of people that are waiting on this info and are going to be excited. And yeah, that should be out. That should be out here very soon. I think it was scheduled to go out during this town hall. There's also an update regarding the ECR with that as well. So I told Matt to hold off until after the airdrop, because I think the community might go a little crazy with it. So I was like, wait until I'm off the town hall, so I can interact with the community and handle all of that. So I think people are going to be excited about it for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to like this. Airdrop ending is a pretty big deal for us. It's, like Bitcoin halvings are a big deal, and this is essentially our halving. So I'm excited for the airdrop to end. I'm excited for it to have existed. And then we're also going to go change some of the ways that DEC prints. And it's going to come way down. And in part, that's to go help it be a lot more stable right around the peg that we're aiming for. And in part, it's just because we don't want to be giving out rewards in DEC. We want to be giving out rewards in SBS. And as we've mentioned before, there are ways that you can, in the near future, you'll be able to convert SBS into DEC. And we think this will have a ton of benefits for the overall economy and ecosystem and game. So now that was some of what we wanted to talk about. You also had a project here for feedback.splinterlands.com that you kind of wanted to go through. You want to share any highlights of that?
Well, yeah. So most of with the town hall, we take a lot of questions for the team at the end and everything, and a lot of times there's some suggestions on there, and usually we don't really talk about them. We just send them to, say, go to feedback.splinterlands.com and place them there. And we do look at that as a team, but as far as interacting with the community, sometimes it feels like it just goes to a wasteland, and the community doesn't see any further kind of interaction with that, other than eventually possibly getting implemented in the game. So kind of wanted to go to a little different format here, and I think I'm going to come on a couple times a month and bring some of the top feedback items from there and kind of present them to the team and just have those discussed a little bit and talk about, like, whether the team likes those, what are the kind of the overall ideas with those, and then what are the challenges to putting them in, because sometimes it's, this is a great idea, but we can't put them in the game right now for these reasons, or this has to come first, or this infrastructure isn't there. So not only talking about whether we like the idea or not, but how the challenges to getting that implemented.
All right. So why don't you walk us through some of the ideas?
Okay, so we'll start with one here. So one of the top feedback items is the ability to send custom battle challenges. So right now, whenever you send a challenge, everything's completely random, just like if you joined a ranked match. But a lot of people want to test things in certain situations. Like I want to know how this team works in an earthquake rule set, or whatever the case is. So the suggestion is to be able to set specific battle conditions when you challenge an opponent, so you can test out lineups.
It's sort of similar, looking at this. I think he also asked something about, can he do it to friends, like invite friends? Basically, you're really talking about a private tournament, really, right? And when you kind of scale it just a little bit, as soon as you start adding one more person beyond just a second person, it's just really as a tournament. And then they were talking about, can we put money on it? And I was like, you're describing tournaments. But I mean, I get the point, right? You and your friend, you're like, hey, I want to play a 99 mana cap match against you because that's my favorite way to play. Shh, don't tell anyone that's my favorite way to play. But I think it's possible. I feel like with one of these ideas, while it's possible, it's just the priority on it right now when we're working on these economy and these bigger projects, it really struggles while it's on the list, and we've talked about it over the last, I know I've heard it several times in the last couple of months. It just struggles to get up the priority list because when we look at these things, we're trying to say is what's going to have the biggest splash for everybody on the platform. And right now we have so many things that are just dripping with business value. It's like, oh my gosh, if I could just get this thing out the door, everybody would win. And that's literally the things that we're hitting right now. And so these things are on our list. We do want to get to them, but we got to really, when people submit this kind of stuff, you want to kind of think about it and say, okay, is my idea something that is going to help everybody? Or is it just going to help just a few people? And if your idea is going to help a few people, well, maybe it still could be valuable, but really tell us how you see it helping the whole economy or helping a whole community get raised, because those are the things that are Splinterlands' attention. It's just like the Eye of Sauron. It just like, boom, we're going to be like looking at that going, oh, well, your idea is amazing and it impacts all players and it means that everybody wins, instead of it's like, maybe 5% of the community wins if we implement this feature. That's just something I like to tell people when they're suggesting ideas. Really think about the overall impact to the whole community when you do.
Yep. Bulldog, what else you got on here?
So on that note, we can go to something that would definitely impact the whole community that I promised Commander Chaos I would bring up, that he has been pushing for very hard in Mav Chat. So I guess to give a little background. So one of the problems a lot of people have talked about is rating inflation, especially when you have a lot of bots playing at lower leagues. They can kind of inflate ratings so that you end up with players being able to play in Gold League, for example, using only level 1 cards or whatever the case is. And so his suggestion was to make your focus point earnings based on the level of the cards you have, or the BCX of the cards you have. So like kind of how we have a starter card penalty right now for not using, if you use a starter card, you don't earn as many focus points. Having a similar penalty if you try to play in Gold League, but you're only using a Bronze League card. And the idea is
I love this idea, by the way. I love it. I'm gonna be bringing it up for a discussion later.
So Commander Chaos is probably jumping up and down in chat there. So what are the challenges to implementing something like that? Like what, as far as coding, how big of a task is that to undertake and things like that?
I mean, something like that's going to have far more impact to the economy than it will be to the code that it takes to write. Because the code taking to write, that's probably not that bad because you're talking about changing some of the algorithms that are already implemented. But really, it's more important. It's like, okay, we're about to change this little algorithm that's going to impact every single player playing every single match. But what he got right is he said, how can I make more value for everybody and incentivize more ownership of higher level cards? And he nailed it. He's like, hey, why don't you just change the adjustment so I get rewarded for playing higher level cards in every league and every place? So I think that's genius, and I would love to talk it through. You won't be surprised if you see that idea coming back in a couple of weeks. I know Patrick's probably already, he knows there's probably cards going to show up on our prioritization list soon.
Nice. All right.
Yeah,
We're running out of time for this segment. So do you have one or two more that you want to share?
Oh, we can do. All right, let's do one that should be pretty simple here. Having a better notification system in game is one of the suggestions. So like we send out all sorts of, we post on Twitter when there's an update, post on Discord and tag everybody and those types of things. But there's a large chunk of players that don't follow us on Twitter, aren't on Discord, Reddit, wherever the case is. And like, for example, using the starter cards, people complain, oh, I didn't know that change was coming until it's just in the game, and they're confused on why they're getting penalized for this because they don't see notifications in the game. So
this is something Nate, myself, Liam have talked about pretty extensively in the last 6 months about how do we get more information in front of the players in the community. We know it's one of the soft underbelly things that we're totally missing right now, but we know we need to get it. So what our vision is for this, and this is why you guys haven't seen it yet, our vision is to have a new revamped landing page for all players. And go to any game out there like League of Legends or whatever, any really substantial, big community-based games, and they have wonderful dashboards that tell them what's going on in the community, what are the latest game changes, where is their best place to play, what are the things they need to claim, what do they need to do, and it's all on one screen. So like really we really do want to get that in place, and it's on our list and it's climbing the priority list. But we have had more core economy things, which as we talked about earlier, takes precedent over that. But it is a huge thing, and it's something that's not lost my radar for sure. So it's definitely coming. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if. This is a matter of when we get that dashboard, that new dashboard that really keeps all the players in tune with what's going on in the game. And really exciting. I think, Nate, you actually had worked on some higher level things, but we never got a chance to really flesh it out. Isn't that right? With the kind of the dashboard for the new players?
Yeah, definitely. We've already conceptualized some stuff, and there's a couple different ways we can go. One of those ways is kind of like going to be envisioned once the airdrop ends and you guys see a new management screen. It won't be quite the same management screen you guys saw before. It'll be more of a dashboard experience. And whether or not you guys see news appear there in the future or somewhere else we'll see.
All right. Well, Bulldog, thanks for, hopefully the audience gets to see that what they tell us goes into people like Bulldog and into WeirdBeard, who then also make sure that there's conversations between them and developers like Hardpoint and PJ, and that we are getting input from folks like Nate in terms of how to design this thing well. And that hopefully you're seeing that our development process, it used to be me, Matt, and Nate would think shit up and be like, what are we going to do? And now it's really like, how do we involve community in these decisions? And hopefully you're seeing that with these conversations and the kind of feedback that we take in as we design this stuff. We're doing our best to make sure that there's player feedback, and that the concerns and the criticisms that you guys bring up, we address head on. I think that's a good transition to WeirdBeard, because you were kind of in the same world of communicating with players and taking that feedback. We've seen some of that into tournaments. Have you seen any goodness out of the Modern and Wild tournaments? How's that going, and what else is on your brain these days?
Well, actually, Modern and Wild tournaments have not happened yet. We had a kind of a bug that came out with the release of trying to solve there's been a problem for a little while here with like unintentional draws, because people would just get hung in either tournaments or brawls. And we tried to fix it, and now we saw a whole bunch of unintentional flees with and just like surrenders for people that weren't doing that based off of like rental cards. That should be being fixed in the release that's going out tomorrow. So once that's released, we're able to make the new tournaments that are going to be happening starting on Wednesday. Fingers crossed.
All right. And so what's the anticipation level for that? Is this a ho hum event? Is this a stop everything and sit by the computer event? Where are folks at? And how
I
are
think
they receiving this?
They're excited. I think overall that like the things that really get the juices going, right, are the big one-off tournaments, right? Like if we were to do qualifying events and do like things that we are able to hype up and stream the entire time, I think people are going to be excited to finally have true Modern and Wild tournaments, instead of kind of how we jerry-rigged it with like being like, well, only these cards are available. Now you're going to be able to like do it for real and not just kind of the half butt way. I think that the thing though that also starts happening though with this Modern Wild stuff is I'm more excited about the next step now that Modern Wild's kind of being cleared off the plates of the dev team. There's lots of little things like the hung brawls and the hung tournaments was such a big quality of life thing for people. Just because it would happen frequently, we'd get tournaments that would hang, and then we have to go pester and annoy the dev and engineering team and be like, hey, we have more hung tournaments. Can we fix those? And it's just not a fun player experience. So even being able to, do some quality of life stuff like that is huge, just because it makes it so that people come back and play and enter into these tournaments more often, as opposed to like having a real frustrating experience of it doesn't matter whether it's a modern or wild tournament. If you get hung tournaments, it's just not fun regardless.
No, I've heard some whispers around getting the rewards for brawls and SPS for brawls kind of in the air. Is that discussion happening? Are you interacting with people? Is there anything you want to share about that?
Not a lot that I want to share. I do know though that like we had a really strong brawl haul 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago. Lots of things came out of there that then all of a sudden got on, Cryptomancer's radar and Hardpoint's radar and a lot of these other people. Like one of the ways that the town halls work well is that, we're able to like you said, solicit the feedback. It's not just WeirdBeard coming up with like what we want to be able to do. It makes it really easy when you can take all the community engagement and then go yes, no, yes, no, 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 yes, and then prioritize it. And it just makes it, you don't have to waste all your brain power on trying to think the stuff up. You can use your brain power on making it and bringing it to life. So I think that stuff is in the cards, but it's slowly being done correctly. Because it's like once you start pulling on one string, you're pulling on a whole bunch of them. With brawls, we've talked in the past about, hey, how many, what's the allocation? Do we have too many gold foil, too many alpha, too many, you know what I mean? Like the composition of that, and then the ratings and the way that now that crowns and merits are being included in other ways instead of just brawls, how is that going to impact how people are coming into guilds and how do we get them in more? So it's like, you know what I mean? It's one question leads to 2 more, leads to 4 more, leads to 6 more.
Yep. All right. Anything else you want to add?
We will be we will be having another Brawl Town Hall on Friday. The time has not been confirmed yet. I will be putting a vote inside of the Brawls channel in our Discord here. You can vote on what time you want us to do it, whether it's early morning, afternoon, or night to compensate best for people that are interested in playing. And this week, as always, we have a questionnaire that goes out ahead of time to make it really fun, simple, and easy to get your constructive criticism across.
Cool. All right. I think what I want to do is go to John, and then I want to go to Nate, and then I want to invite our 2D artist on. And then that will be the end of the first part of the show. So, John, why don't you give us a quick update on just your world? What's going on?
Yeah. So, if some of you have seen me on a town hall in the past, you'll remember that I'm sort of the guild Sherpa, right? So I work with a lot of the scholar model guilds, the external guilds to the game, and help them through their discovery process, understanding the game, and try to have them, experience a very smooth sort of onboarding process to get into the ecosystem and really augment our ecosystem. But guilds, they have a number of different challenges that aren't really Splinterlands specific. They're more Web3 specific. And Grant talked about some of those with, managing payments, especially for larger guilds, and managing, some of the wallet stuff, right? A lot of the DeFi stuff. And as frictionless as we are with crypto at Splinterlands, we're still not immune to some of these things. So there's a couple of things that we've been working on. One is, how can we fill some of the holes and some of the gaps and what we're capable of through partnerships? So Nifty Arcade is one glaring example that we've been doing a lot of work with. I mean, I probably talk with them 3-4 times a week at this point. They have a guild playing in the game, yes, and they're onboarded. They have their own scholars onboarded, but they're also serving as sort of a middleware for guilds and Splinterlands specifically. They're really, really bullish on Splinterlands and really strong partner of ours. So they've spent hundreds of hours and countless resources developing some different tools and models. Some of it is software as service. Some of it is just people power to help manage some of these things that guilds are experiencing issues with to help them into the game. So that thing is really going strong and getting ready to launch to new levels. So that's very exciting. Another problem that I've been wanting to try to solve is we have our in-game guild system and there is a tavern there, and there's some different ways that you can kind of communicate out in the open with each other in Discord, in our Discord server. But I wanted the guild leadership and guild managers. And when I say guild in this particular context, I'm not talking about our in-game guilds. I'm talking about, the guilds, the external guilds that are actually running a scholarship model and doing some sort of play to earn with that. But I wanted to have some sort of venue where we could communicate things a bit more one-to-many style and contextualize these different roadmap updates for guilds. So one of the greatest things about Splinterlands is how many roadmap items we have and actually deliver on, which is awesome. And kudos to Hardpoint and PJ for that. But it creates a little bit of a challenge for somebody like me who calls himself a guild Sherpa, because I can't just communicate updates twice a day to everybody all the time, right? You have to try to bundle those things together a little bit and put them in context for some of these external guilds. And so one idea to take a step in the right direction with that is to create a guild leadership Discord channel in our server. And so we just did that recently. I don't have anybody in there quite yet besides myself. So it's getting a little bit lonely, and I'm looking for any community members that are either running a play to earn guild, running a scholarship model, or if you're associated with one that is thinking about getting into Splinterlands. The idea here is that we put these guild leaders into a channel together, and it gives them a venue to ask questions of each other, to get to know the game. You heard Grant talking earlier, as he's going through his discovery process for BREEDfi. He's got a lot of questions, and he's noticing that, there's a lot of complexity here, which is awesome, but it also extends the discovery process a little bit because we have to feel comfortable to really get into the game. And he mentioned the crawl, walk, run. That's pretty indicative of most guilds' experience. And so if we have a venue, if we have a channel in our Discord server where we have guild managers and guild leaders that are already in the game, sitting in there, they tend to be quite open to collaborating with each other and answering questions. So I think that's a really good benefit of having such a channel. And then another benefit of the channel, like I mentioned before, is having a venue where I can kind of contextualize different roadmap updates and different things that are going on with Splinterlands, whether it be Splinterfest or whatever. I can communicate some of those things a little bit more effectively and easily to the group. So we're gonna run that experiment here for a little while and see if we can get a little bit more of a sort of a guild leadership community established, and see if we can get a little bit of organic interaction there, and then take what we learn and make decisions about what we're going to do going forward with that. So my call to action for the community is, if you are a guild manager, if you're a guild leader, ping me in Discord or Telegram or wherever is convenient for you. Or if you're a scholar that's part of another guild, let them know to reach out to me. Or if you have friends who are involved with guilds, I'd like to hear from as many and all of them as possible, because we do some pretty unique and awesome things for these play to earn guilds, these scholarship models, to help them get into Splinterlands and be a part of the community.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for putting that together. Thanks for giving people a place to speak, and look forward to having you work as another kind of community liaison to a certain part of our community and help them get their voice to us as the lead developers of this project, and build the tools that they need and work on the things that are a priority to them. So thanks.
Yep. Big shout out to Bulldog as well for helping organize that and put that together. Thanks, Bulldog.
Awesome. Yeah, good teamwork, guys. All right, so to kind of round out the town hall portion, I want to go talk to Nate, and then hopefully Nate will help introduce one of the artists on his team. So Nate, what do you, now that Modern and Wild is out, what's the, where are we breathing down your neck to go get the next piece done? What's that look like? And what are you working on? What are you excited about? And what eye candy do you have to share today?
No, sure. Creative is, we got the pedal to the metal. So we are going full throttle on all kinds of different things. Probably it's almost nearly all hands on deck for the art team when it comes to Rift Watchers. We definitely want to bring that successful launch to the players as soon as we can within a reasonable time. And so, that's something that's going on. I know that if you guys noticed, I think it was a few days ago, we released the Grandmaster Wraith lore on the our blog. So there's a link there if you haven't checked it out and you're not familiar with that legendary character, then please go read or go to YouTube and listen. And the creative side has been trying to make sure that the production quality for these cool little videos every week is not only maintained but always being pushed forward, pushing the envelope for what's possible. I would say that someone who's instrumental is going to be, coming on next, Harless, or on here on Discord. Kudo is the username. He is definitely a top-notch, what I consider to be a AAA top-notch rock star 2D artist, which has joined the team. And I think Rift Watchers is really going to showcase what he's capable of. And as we bring him on, I figured, I asked him, I said, Harless, man, what do you want to share? What are you really proud of that you've done or that's in the game? And what he really wanted to show was something he did for Rift Watchers. So I don't think the community will argue or say, no, we don't want to see Rift Watchers. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys a sneak peek into one of the characters of Rift Watchers that Harless was working on. So as he talks, I'll go ahead and drop the progression of one character from the concept stage all the way through the process, and he can speak to that. But that's something that's pretty exciting in front of us right now.
Yeah, put something in, and Kudo, are you there?
Yeah.
Well, welcome on board. That's high praise from Nate, the AAA artist. You want to go show us something that you've worked on, and then kind of tell us a bit about your background and what you're doing here?
Yeah, let me introduce myself first, I think. Is my voice clear, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a little
Yeah,
low, but
okay.
I can hear you.
How about now?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Sure.
My name is Harless. I'm from Indonesia. I'm 2D artist in the creative department. So basically in the team, I work as a generalist. That means my work is about making an illustration to cover all art assets needed to develop the games. For example, in this couple of months, I've been working for story illustration for the lore, the trailer, and preparing for the character art for Rift Watcher. Also helping for Splinterfest art promotion.
Yeah, do you want to show any of that art, either you or Nate, or anything that you can show us that you've kind of worked on and that you built so that the players themselves would see?
Sure.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
dropping in, by the way, Harless, I'm dropping in the stage 1, the concept stage for Runemancer Oduwat,
Yep.
who is a cool dwarvish concept with the Rift Watchers.
Yeah, I get the concept from the narrative team first. So basically, they need the Runemancer Oduwat character for the Rift Watcher, and I comes up with the couple sketches for alternative, and then bring it up to see what they think about it, and then Ned, can you give another one? Next one. Yeah, that's the one they picked. So I can continue to the next phase. After we have the sketch we want, then I continue to make a clean line art about it, so they can know the progress of the rendering and what quality line art we have to continue to the color phase. Next, I make couple alternative base color, so they have alternative two to choose. And then we come to discussion to choose number one. This is the almost finished space. After we get what we need for this color, I continue to rendering it to the final stage by finishing it. This is the one. This is the approved one, and then ready to animate. I just finished the split for the material for animator, and they will continue it.
Do you have an animation to share, or that's still in the works?
I think that's still in the work because still, yeah.
I mean, the players are definitely stoked for this. It looks, everything I've seen from Rift Watchers is like next level awesome.
Thank you,
So
everyone.
the art team is definitely doing something right. It's so impressive, and it's like, I've been here since the very beginning, and I was there like making art at the beginning, not personally drawing it, but getting characters done and whatever. And it's just so awesome to see how this thing has changed and what we built here. So I'm pretty stoked.
Thank you.
All right. I wanted to say thanks. It's awesome to see that. And thanks for bringing your talent and your enthusiasm here. And, I think we have something like 150 employees or like employees and contractors. And I think that at least 50 of them are overseas, or I guess we have something like 50 different countries represented. And so thanks for repping Indonesia, and excited to have people from all over the world to be a part of this team and help us grow. Nate, anything else you wanted to add from the creative side in terms of what we're building, what we're doing, any eye candy, or, just thoughts in general?
I guess I would say that, Harless and the rest of the creative side are just knocking out of the park on a daily basis. Every time I turn around, they're improving, not like little improvements, but huge, by leaps and bounds. These guys are just feeding off one another, like helping to support each other, celebrate each other's successes, teaching each other tips and tricks for different things to help us kind of like, get better and better and better at what we do. I know that our art lead, Madi, has been a real instrumental in getting all our 2D artists kind of like using, programs like Blender for 3D perspective, and trying to make sure that we're taking into account the right lighting and the right shading, and that just overall improving the production quality. Same with animation, music, everything else. So the creative side takes a little bit slower than the dev side in terms of implementing and producing, but we're getting there. And I think that little by little, you guys will see more and more cool stuff popping into the game. And yes, Rift Watchers will definitely be setting the bar higher than it's ever been before. So for those of you guys looking forward to Rift Watchers being released, then we're definitely hoping that you're going to be just as excited as we are to be working on it.
Also just happy that Rift Watchers are going to only be payable in SBS. So last I checked, it was something like $15 million of value. If we want to sell out of Rift Watchers, $15 million is going to come in. It's not going to come into the Splinterlands entity. It's going to come into the DAO. And, if it's only available through SPS, and then it goes to the DAO, and the DAO is, not fully functional yet. So it's essentially a sink for a while. I think that's pretty exciting, that the most gorgeous set of cards that we have to date, with a new set of abilities and the next feature set for the modern card pack edition, or the card packs edition. I mean, I think that's a big deal for us. So thanks for making it gorgeous. Thanks for working on it. Kudo, it's a pleasure to meet you, and glad you're here on the team.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yep. So before we get into the set of questions, Ron, why don't you come tell us about our shout outs, or I guess maybe I'm supposed to do the shout outs, and let's go do clip of the week.
Absolutely, I'd be glad to. Yeah, and you know what? I think it's better coming from you to do the shout outs, don't you think?
Sure. Well, this week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we got 5 of them. So down from like the 8 or 10 last week. And just a reminder, if you guys go to splinterlands.tv/watch, that'll take you to the various feeds of the various shows that we're doing. Our goal is to have 24-hour coverage and be able to just show you guys Splinterlands and Splinterlands streams nonstop. Every time that you do that, you get rewarded with some credits, and one of the main ways that you can go redeem those credits is get a shout out on the town hall. So first set of props goes to DJ Bagman. DJ Bagman, it's awesome that you're watching, and I think that's your first shout out that you've gotten. We've got Love Fallen 17 in that same category of the new person to this. We got Techie 004 or 004. And then the next one up is just like the most hardcore fan we have. It's Butt Ops 18 back again for another shout out. If you guys don't know this guy's name yet, then you're not watching enough town halls, because he's here for everything. And then I think Sean Michael GT is brand new too. So we have 5 new listeners into the shout out club, and we have the Grandmaster himself, Butt Ops, here. And it's awesome to see new faces. How many followers do we have on the Twitch channel now?
I think we're approaching 1,400 at this point. I had some interesting statistics, because like the way of measuring this is a little bit hard, because we have more and more shows coming up. We have just an absolute amazing growth of audience. It's really hard. Like when you have 200 hours of shows versus 430 hours of shows, can you really gauge that, the watch time, or not the watch time, but the average viewers? Is that, like, you would expect it to go down? You just doubled the amount of watch time, so you would expect it to go down, but we're actually still going up, even though we're increasing our total amount of hours streamed. And this is really, the unique viewers is really where this is shining. We are on track to double our unique viewers from May in July here. So I'm actually really excited about this. We're catching more demographics, more different places all around the world. We're adding more. We've got streamers that stream in Japanese. We got people that stream in Vietnamese. We got people that stream in Tagalog, French. It's really growing into a full blown worldwide sensation here.
Nice.
And I got to say, I'm really proud. We've got 52 streamers now. We're about to be opening up, guys. If you guys are wanting to stream on Splinterlands TV, I know a lot of people are waiting for me to open up the forum. Get in the Splinterlands TV Discord, splinterlands.tv/Discord, and wait for an announcement, because that is coming up very soon, and we're going to be pushing to get 24 hours of stream, hopefully before the end of July.
Wow.
We're getting the people hired. It takes a little bit to get onboarded, contract signed, and all that. So maybe in August we'll be really close to it there.
Yeah, I mean that's a big deal to me. The hardest way, or the hardest time to grow your audience is right at the beginning. Once you hit something like 1 million users, getting another chunk, it's easier because your reach is so big. But growing this fast at the very beginning, you really got to grind it out. So kudos to you and the team, and keeping the stream alive, and getting new faces over here. So nice work. You want to play us the stream of the week and just tell us what or narrate it a little bit afterwards?
Well, sure. I'll give it a little bit of a lead in here. Aggro, you're gonna like this one a lot. This guy Damore, he's one of our streamers that's usually on the night shift for the U.S. He had one of those fantastic moments, which is the whole reason why the trample rule set exists.
Oh, I'm thrilled.
Yeah. So, guys, this is Damore experiencing the wonderful trample rule set to its fullest fullest glory.
Okay. Okay, nice. 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 Ooh, what a trample. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was funny, man. That was funny. All right. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
DJ Bagman. That was a slaughter. The demon shark. Wow. Trample. I eat your whole team for breakfast.
Yeah, that's the dream. That's the dream. I eat your whole team for breakfast.
Yeah, that
I
was
feel like there's gonna be a meme of that now. We need a meme of that. I'm gonna eat your whole team for breakfast in Splinterlands. Make this happen.
Yes, Nate.
Yeah, that rule set, like it used to be broken, right? Like if you could do that in every single match, that can be a little frustrating. But having the rule set where that's allowed, that's the best. So man, I'm so happy to see that. That was a rule set that I personally pushed for and thought we needed to bring back. You know, so much of this game is really like you know, you need certain stories to be able to talk about, and just wiping out the entire team with one dude, that's the dream. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's a nice find, Ron. that is well deserved win.
Well,
I
guys,
eat your whole team for breakfast.
well, actually, that's funny. This week, I didn't even pick it. The winners were chosen by voting in the Discord. So everybody voted with the emojis on the best clip of the week, and that was the one that won it. So yeah, I got to say, we just implemented this for this last week. This is the first time, and I really like it. I think that's the way we're going to go forward. So guys, you go out there and vote. First place winner, both the streamer and the submission, won 500 SPS apiece. Second through fifth place also won 200 SPS apiece. So I mean, these are big prizes. That's a substantial amount of money for just watching Splinterlands TV, making a clip and posting it in Discord. Like it's that easy.
Awesome.
I do have a couple of other things I want to share. We have a streamer spotlight going on this week. They're going to be giving away 10 packs apiece. We've got Nardian on Friday, July 22nd, and we've got Trolls. That's going to be Thursday, July 21st. Actually, Nardian he's at midnight at my time, which would mean like he's Thursday night. Trolls is Thursday during the day. This is U.S. times. But if you guys don't know what times that it's going to be in, just go to splinterlands.tv for the full schedule.
Yeah. So, you know, help us stream, help us bring in new players, help us reach a new audience. And if you don't feel like streaming, then just come out and hang out with us and play your own matches, do your own thing. But at least, you know, just hang out with the guys live. It's a lot of fun. I think that rounds up the town hall portion of this. And I want to get into the question portion. We got about 2 pages of questions, and we have some devs and we have some folks here. So let's see what we can do. Now, this isn't the open question part yet. That happens at the end. So if you have questions that are not yet submitted, just hold on tight. So here we have player ratings and leagues. The start of Modern had very few bots, and it really highlighted how much of the bots continue to contribute to ratings inflation. Despite having a higher percentage of the cards for Modern compared to Wild, players are really struggling because they can't beat up on bots with crappy cards. Are any changes being considered to combat ratings inflation or create a system where accounts are only playing in leagues that they have cards for? So that was one that Bulldog brought up earlier of maybe, you know, having fewer ratings points earned if you're not carrying the level of card for that league. But I think that there's always kind of stuff that's in the background that we're thinking about in terms of like, how can we tweak ranked play to make it really highlight who the best players are. So I don't know that there's any one thing that is like clearly made it to the top of the list yet, but we are constantly taking feedback and thinking through how do we make that better. It's a poor user experience to have players drop down a league at the start of every season. We got cards to compete in a specific league and then can't use the full benefit of them as we try to get back to the league we belong in. Can we please not drop players back any further than the bottom of their league? Well, that it doesn't make a lot of sense for me, because part of what we're doing is when you think about how this game operates, in its most ideal, it would be something like it is proof of the quality of your collection, a proof of the quality of you as a player and your skill, and finally proof of how much time you put in. Proof of time, proof of skill, proof of deck quality. And if I don't think it makes any sense to remove the proof of time component. And that's what this really is. It's about making sure that players are putting in their time, because we want it so that you remain competitive and that you're part of this. Now, I'm not the only person that makes decisions on this, so I frequently get overruled. But that would be my first answer to that, is that we take everybody back, and it happens to everybody that's part of this. And that's just part of the challenge of playing in the leagues and earning your spot. That it's not gifted to you. It is not yours. It is a competitive landscape, and players have to keep earning their position in the leagues. All right, Land. Will combining cards to a BCX beyond their level for more CP have any benefit when working land? If so, do you plan to allow players to combine max cards so we aren't penalized for already maxing them out? I don't think that there's going to be a bonus reward. You max is the max level, and I don't think having extra BCX in there is something that we necessarily want to encourage. If a player chooses to do that, okay, but we don't want to necessarily encourage that. If so, do you plan to allow players to combine max cards so we aren't penalized for already maxing them out? No, again, we're not trying to facilitate this. Will land require active management to get the maximum benefit? For example, will there be focuses for land that give us incentives to rotate different types of cards in and out? I think over time, we definitely want to make it so that it's not completely passive. There might be things like weather effects or timing or, special bonuses at a given moment for using a type of card. But I think how that works initially and then how it works, upon full development will be different. But I think over time, we definitely want it to have not just a complete set it and forget it, but have some level of skill and thoughtfulness and paying some attention. Modern and Wild. When will modern format work on the app? Well, thanks to Ulid, who's Melon Man, in Discord, it's already working. So that's my understanding. Go check it out and see if you can't get the modern format to work.
Yeah, also a big shout out to our partners, Double Coconut. Their dev team really did a big lift with that, and I really just want to give them and their whole team a big shout out.
Yeah, normally there's a couple week or maybe couple month split between when the browser team releases something and when the mobile team releases something. So, having that release happen so quickly, that's kind of new for us. So kudos to the development team, to Double Coconut and to Melon Man specifically for helping that all happen. Let's see. Are there any plans to add a modern filter to the marketplace? That I don't know specifically, but maybe Homestead or somebody else can chime in. Why are players with 0 or very few battles and extremely high ratings on the modern leaderboards? I haven't looked into that. Anybody have any thoughts?
So it's probably because when we cut over, if I had to take a quick guess at it, when we cut everybody over, we took them over at a specific rating where they were in Wild. And so if they've never played Modern ever, they're going to show up with 0 battles, but they're going to have a rating that's based on their Wild rating before launch. So we didn't want everybody to go straight to 0 in Modern. So we did a translation of it. I'm going to say that's an 80-90% chance that's exactly why they're seeing that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I think by the time that you get one season under our belt, this should all be shifted. So that it just feels like starting pains.
I don't know the exact details behind it, but I know there was a bug involved with that as well. And I saw that the dev team was working on getting those taken off before the end of the season. So they should not be getting first place on the leaderboard.
Sweet. All right. Will the season reset Modern Wild individually? I.e., if I never play in Wild and only Modern, could I be novice in Wild but champion in Modern? And I
Yes.
believe, yeah, like
No,
that's the whole
totally.
point.
They're two different ratings, two different things. You can absolutely drop all the way down. By the way, that kind of does answer the question earlier about why we drop people down. The system right now is designed so that if a player disengages from the game, they slowly drop down and down on the leaderboard. And if we just dropped them to the last league they were at the bottom, it would just infinitely hold them at that league and never keep moving them down. So the whole idea is over time, you lose rating. Now, we are, and you said this already, Aggie, we are reviewing it. We are looking at ways to tweak it and make it more enjoyable, but there is a design behind it. It's not with no purpose.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if we were just handing out rewards that had no value, I would say, sure, keep them there. But these things have real world value. And, you know, this is like you got to earn your keep. So if you choose not to work, if you choose not to play, if you choose not to participate, that's your choice. But I think that there should be a penalty for that. And, you know, I think about it less of hurting players that are choosing not to play and more about it's rewarding players and ensuring a bigger pool of rewards go to the active players. And I think that's what we want to incentivize, which is why I put my stake and I say, let's make sure that this is the way it operates. All right, SPS. It was previously mentioned that SPS sold in the private sale was given to the DAO. What currency is this stored in? If funds were not used for development, then what was the purpose of selling it privately in the first place instead of just giving it directly to the DAO and SPS? This would have resulted in more SPS for the DAO and less SPS dumping by VCs. Yeah, so the private sale was purchased in a variety of different currencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum primarily. And those funds were used for development, exchange relationships, building out this product, operating the DAO, building different pieces. And there are still funds that are available that we're using to go help with those same sorts of things, or that the DAO is choosing to use to build out this game. So that the value went to the DAO, and the DAO is making things happen. So, you know, those exchange listings that we do have, like crypto.com and gate.io, you know, those are things that the DAO funds were used for. All right. What happens to SPS in battle rewards long term after the SPS runs out? Well, the SPS rewards, when they run out, might run out forever, and then it's just people that are, you know, trying to figure out how there will likely still be some rewards, whether it's vouchers or DEC or, you know, other components. There is also the chance that after 5 years and all the rewards are gone, that the token holders say, well, having some form of inflation, maybe not as big as it was, but having some form of inflation is worthwhile, and vote to change how the white paper works or how distribution works. So, you know, I think it's likely over time that we'll hit the end, and then players will say, well, it's more fun to play for rewards and introduce some small inflation that's ongoing. But, you know, we'll have to see what that looks like.
And the one thing that I can kind of give a spoiler out for those that are interested, that we're actually prioritizing getting SPS voting governance in place soon. Something that I'm pushing PJ on, and Matt's been pushing both of us pretty hard on, is getting the voting in place so that the SP stakeholders can actually start instituting changes like that. And what you're going to see is really, if you want to, you know, like you said, Aggie, if you want to influence the way the token is working, you want to influence the way the game is working, we're going to start running proposals to the community so that staked SPS holders can vote on it.
Okay. Seeing different lore references around the town hall trivia, etc., have me wanting to read the lore stories, but they are too difficult to find and I have no idea what order the stories go in when I find them. Can we please get these placed on the actual website in an easy to follow format? Mr. Nate?
No, I mean, that's a cool idea. Until an idea like that gets implemented, though, we do use it as an incentive for our players to actually follow our blog. So, in fact, if you do want a source of reference, so you know which stories to read in what order, here is a link to our Tome of Chaos, homepage, if you will, landing page, the blog post that outlines every single chapter the chaos war that we're currently in. So take a look at that, and hopefully that's the resource you're looking for, at least in the short term.
Sweet.
We also have one of the players in the lore section on Discord has also combined them all into a PDF that he updates fairly frequently. So that is pinned in the lore channel.
Nice. All right. I have no interest in playing brawls, so adding merits to chests is a straight up nerf to my rewards. Is this going to turn into another game where players are effectively forced to join and guild and play in a group in order to really get rewards to progress in the game? I just want to play by myself. Well, just keep in mind that, things, even if you don't choose to, do guild combat, having gladiators isn't going to hurt you, whether it's for your collection power, whether it's for your, for working land or something, you'll find a means to use those cards to benefit you. So I don't think our long-term goal is to force you to join a guild and participate in brawls. I think having some incentive to do that is good. But I don't think it should be so overwhelming that if you choose to ignore it, that you're heavily penalized.
Now something that's baked into all cards, including the gladiator cards, is the option to convert them into dark energy crystals. So there's that too.
Yeah, so you could, worst case, you just think of it as a little bit of DEC. All right, so we already have too many cards in circulation and they can't hold value. Why are we adding Rift Watchers here soon? Isn't that just going to make the current problem even worse? Well, generally, I would think no. We are continuing to grow. We are in a bear market, which makes growth slower, but we're continuing to grow. We get new players, and there's new partners and new teams that are coming into this thing. It's this weird mix of you need fresh cards in the game so that new players can enjoy that experience and come in, but you also don't want to add so many that it's like incredibly dilutive. Part of what I think is different about this is that the Rift Watchers is not something that's like airdropped in. Rift Watchers is something that you have to purchase. So unless there's demand for these cards, they don't actually just get put into circulation. And I think that's a really big difference versus something like the rewards cards or something like that, where, no matter what happens, there's going to be more cards in circulation. That's how we built this thing. But that's not how it works for Rift Watchers. Somebody has to buy the pack. So if there's not the demand, then you won't see the cards. And I think that's different, and something to consider is that, we're not just, inflating the card supply willy-nilly. That this is one of those areas where, you really have to want to come in and buy this pack, and then you have to buy it in SPS. Well, buying it in SPS puts pressure on the SPS token. And so you're going to come in and you're going to take your Ethereum and you're going to buy some SPS. It's going to push up the price of SPS. And if that happens for $15 million worth, that's a lot of positive pressure on SPS. And so as we're introducing, the liquidity provider rewards, and as we're introducing the play mechanics, whether it be tournament play or guild play or just ranked rewards, your ability to earn SPS, I think that's a big advantage to us as a community and to the token ecosystem. That if that kind of buy pressure gets movement towards a higher priced SPS, then I think that creates like a really positive feedback loop for our whole community. So I try to be really conscious about this, but I'm pretty stoked for it in particular.
I think though, if you don't mind me throwing one other thing on a log on the fire. A lot of players that when they say that the card supply is too high, they don't understand our economy very well. And then actually our economy is very deflationary, the way we release cards and they level up. So we actually have built-in deflationary controls with cards. So like for instance, when you look at all of Chaos Legion, that's 75 million cards, if I'm not mistaken off the top of my head. And if you reduce all those cards to max level cards, there's only 6,000 max level decks approximately. So that means that you would reduce a tremendous amount of cards out of the economy. So one of the ways that we're doing to incentivize that, and the reason you guys have seen us trying to increase the participation, increase the rewards in the higher leagues, makes it more valuable for competing in the more leagues, modern and wild. All of these things we are doing to encourage players to become more competitive, to get higher level cards, which then reduce the card supply, increasing prices. But I also say the other thing. If we created a game where all the cards were super expensive, the problem with that is we can't get more people in the economy, we can't get more people in the game, and the game dies. So like we need a balance of all of these things to make a vibrant economy. And that's, I just want to throw that out. Everybody seems to get focused on one point of the 5 or 10 or 15 points it takes to run a good economy. We can't let any of these one things win out. We have to do it all. And I just want to encourage everybody that's new here, that hasn't been around, to really understand it's not just that simple as saying, oh, there's too many cards. There's a lot of different things that we are doing, you know, every release towards working the entire economy in the right direction.
Yep. All right. So that brings us to the end of the sort of town hall and pre-prepped questions. And I'd just like to open this up to the entire community. And we got 25 minutes, which is pretty good these days, and happy to go take what you got. So I see Dishonesty opening this up pretty early. Question for Hardpoint. Can you please tell us about the contingency in place in case some bad consequence code is pushed together with a normal release within a release window? I'm specifically talking about the incident with price updating for multiple cards from last week. If Asgarth wouldn't have taken fast measures to mitigate that on Peak Monsters, a lot of players would have been burned. What's the status on that? Why didn't you roll that back ASAP?
I guess the simplest answer is we found out it as fast as we could, and we patched it as quick as we could. So what are we going to do in that case? We're going to roll forward. We're going to keep doing it, and we'll look at the impact and see what we can do to mitigate it as quickly as we can. That's why we have open channels with Peak Monsters. We got that information really quickly from them. Our engineers saw it and jumped right on it and actually had fixes in play. Part of our processes that we're developing internally, if you guys have seen, is that we have 2 release windows per week, which are scheduled so that we don't interrupt other things going on like tournaments and streaming. We also are working on contingency plans with hot fixes that are just for such a thing as this. So we're working really hard on it. Not everything's gonna be perfect, but our as you guys saw, we jumped on it extremely quick and got it fixed. And we also appreciate Peak Monsters for helping us out with that too. That's one of the reasons why there's a large team here that are watching a lot of different communication channels when we do releases. It's one of the reasons why we don't do releases on the weekend. We generally try to do them on our preferred big releases are going to be on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays really is going to be just patches. And the reason we do that means more engineers, more product, more community people online watching the channels, getting the feedback, and making sure we can act on it as absolutely fast as we possibly can. That's our commitment. No technology is perfect. If you ever go to a project and they tell you their technology is perfect, then I don't know, they're lying to you. But we do what we can to react quick and be able to get speedy releases and speedy hot fixes out.
All right, Fat Jimmy's asking, the Brawl reward system is broken, very heavily and disproportionately skewed to top 3 winners in any given tier. And as the months roll by, a very small handful of guilds, mine included, are jumping way ahead of all the others. This is certainly time sensitive, but this has been brought up to light months ago now and has not been addressed. How high of a priority is it to address and fix this? My sense that that's kind of what these Brawlhalla conversations are about. And then also now that Cryptomancer has sort of made his way through Modern and Wild, he can kind of come back and address some of this stuff in the brawls.
I want to say one thing. We did put a change out for brawls to try to incentivize things and move it in the right direction. So when people say this, they act like we aren't acting and we aren't watching. I think it's the opposite. We saw it, we acted. Now we've been watching what our changes take effect, and then we're making our decisions on. We have several different options, and we're trying to decide which of those options is the best play for the entire economy, including the brawls. So it's not that we aren't watching. We're very keenly watching this issue. We are aware of it, and we did make changes, and we're going to make more changes. That's our commitment.
Question, did you plan to balance the current meta by making patches on some card that have too little or too much impact on the meta no matter the format? Or some card that has incoherent action like Llama, who applies cleanse to each turn against Mimosa, who only applies it once? Generally, we don't, unless something has like a really broken win rate, which is somewhere around 70%. and oftentimes, it's not just 70%, but it's 70% across multiple different leagues. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. When cards are very broken, that's when we're willing to actually go in and nerf them. But saving, if that's not the case, and it just seems like it's strong in the current meta, then we much prefer to introduce counters. So that's something to consider in terms of how we like to do that. So if there are some really broken cards, we do try to take a look at it. And modern and wild is pretty new. So if in the modern format there's a card that is now suddenly broken that used to have counters and no longer does, we can check that out. But we try not to make patches on current cards. We try to do things like introduce new cards that are good. There. All right. The Joker's asking, when voucher for Blood or Power Stone? That seems like a pretty good use of voucher to me. So I might be up for that. So something to consider. I'll put that into the WeirdBeard chest of ideas.
Cryptomancer said that was coming. So I don't know when, but he did tell us on Discord that was coming.
LZ is asking, with double the voucher supply, but the demand didn't increase, especially Rift Watchers, not 100% requiring vouchers and promo card postponed, would the team consider providing voucher sales items at least once a month? We've been looking to add more to this. We've had at least one deal fall through, and we've just had other things that are kind of like taking our attention that aren't just what is the next big voucher sale. In part because the validator nodes is like a huge sink for that. Now, when prices of SBS are at 5 cents, it's not flying off the shelf. But two things that I think will impact this: there's liquidity provision for vouchers that should be coming soon. So if you're staking Hive and you're staking vouchers, particularly in tribal decks, then and you're putting that into the liquidity pool, there's rewards for that. So there's one incentive to go buy, hold, and keep vouchers. And a second piece of this would be what's the second piece? Oh, and just the second piece is that if there's any kind of price movement, especially say 9 days from now, when there's a greater than halving that's occurring to the SBS issuance, if that has an impact on price and the price of SBS creeps up a little bit, then the deals that are being offered for the validators spike relatively quickly. And if that's the case, then I think that the demand for the voucher will go up quite substantially along with it. So there's a gigantic sink with validators. So we sort of see that as one place they can go. And we'll see. Who knows where prices will be, but I tend to think that people that are being patient will be rewarded in that way. Petroni is asking devs, do you agree that Splinterlands would be better off without any bots at all? My answer is no, because then we wouldn't be a decentralized game or even close to it. You would be asking Matt and I and whoever we choose to then be like a little magistrate and say, that player can play, that one cannot. This one can play, that one cannot. And the second that we start banning accounts and the second that we start kicking people out of here, bots or no, that's when we're no longer decentralized. And that's when we're back to just being like a web 2.0 game with, benefits or something. So no, I strongly disagree with the idea that we should be removing bots. I think we should be removing incentives to bot or even really just advantages to bot, but not try to kill them outright. Because if we go in and we act that way, we are not decentralized, and that's against the ethos of this project. Any ETA on when tournaments will be back? So WeirdBeard answered that. Why don't you answer that again?
So we're going to be creating a few more tournaments starting tomorrow for like happening on Wednesday to make sure that we've knocked that bug out. As long as nothing like explodes when we do that, we should be right back on track starting on Wednesday with tournaments.
Nice. IC Flow is asking, one of my biggest concerns is the upcoming plan to burn SPS into DEC. I'm afraid that trading bots will extract too much from this arbitrage opportunity. I propose the SPS DAO run a bot to perform this arbitrage to the benefit of the SPS stakers and grow the DAO. Are there any plans to address this? Well, I don't think I see that kind of arbitrage that you're talking about. I guess if maybe it's only as the price of SPS goes up, or I'm sorry, if the here's how all this stuff is meant to work. We're overall planning on decreasing the amount of DEC that's being rewarded. That's coming out in the post that's supposed to go out after this town hall, and we're waiting till after the town hall so folks like Bulldog are able to go answer questions about it, and can respond immediately as folks have questions. But
he's already spoiled most of it.
Yeah, we put out a bunch of this already, but so the amount of DEC is going to go down, and hopefully what that does is it makes it easier to maintain the peg at 1,000 Splintoshis per $1 worth of value. And then if the impact of having brought the rewards down to something like 20% of what they were is that the price of DEC it starts creeping up, then there's an opportunity for anyone in this community to go convert their SPS into DEC to capture that small delta. And that to us is not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength. That would be great because we want to make sure that DEC stays as stable as humanly possible. And why would we want that? Because when you list a card and you expect 20,000 DEC, you want it to be worth $20. You don't want it to be worth half that. It might be exciting if it's worth a lot more than that. But if you were hoping for the DEC, you would be getting half the DEC that you were expecting. And so what we want is for the DEC to be like this really stable currency that operates behind all this stuff. And to that regard, having some limited reward going out to people that are providing liquidity, having token or like NFT nuking providing some DEC, and really not many other ways to get it, we think are likely to make it pretty stable. And if anything, it might get too high priced. And that becomes a great opportunity to burn some of your SPS to get DEC to maybe just buy SPS back. And I don't know that the DAO needs to run bots to do this. Maybe that is something that happens, and that's something that the players want. And, that gets voted on, and the DAO starts running bots to do it. But honestly, I'm happy that anybody in the community can make that choice of what they want to do. So that's a long-winded answer, but if lots of people start burning SPS, that won't be a bad thing. That would be a great thing. And it benefits everybody in this ecosystem. Question, when tourneys on mobile, why does mobile app seem to need to be closed after every 3 matches before it stops submitting teams? Tired of explaining shortcomings of the app to my in real life new player friends. Tourneys on mobile has been a request forever. I know that they're working on it. And now that Double Coconut is sort of like really helping us a lot, hopefully that can move faster than we've been able to do in the past. I don't know why it needs to be closed every 3 matches. I haven't heard that before, but that's something to be looking into. And hopefully your in real life new player friends can learn about the benefits of asset ownership and being able to earn something. Who handles the question screen on the stream? I don't know what the question screen is. Maybe
that's
it's
Ron. Ron's running.
Yeah, Rondon. Question, what are the long-term plans for types of focus? What are your thoughts on random focus every match? I'm pro random focus every match. I don't know that that's doable. But
we've been talking about it. It's like we talked about. I like that concept. I love the idea of it not being a daily thing. And that's my opinion, but we started, believe it or not, it is in the cards that we've been discussing it. We went with easier changes first because there's a lot of coding changes required to do random focus per match. But we do love, I think the one thing that all players should realize is that we want it to be fun and exciting. And if you have the same thing every single time. We know that that sucks, but I think, isn't it going out? Bulldog, do you know the list? I think isn't that change going out like this week to change it, or did it already go out?
Thursday. Yep.
Thursday.
It'll be out
So
Thursday.
yeah, so there's a big change coming to Focus, so that yes, you'll like it. Look for the patch notes about it, but there's going to be a big change to Focus where it's a little bit more, changes it up, makes it more exciting, more interesting than just the same one all day long.
Extreme Player 63, will the guild button be added to the taskbar for members not in guilds so that merits could be spent on Gladius packs, or will players be forced to create a guild in order to use 1 merits? I don't think you should be forced to create or join a guild. So, if that's not already in some UI update, we should put that into one. That sounds more like a bug than a feature.
Well, it's not so much the UI as in order to even get access to the shop to spend the merits, you have to have a level 2 guild, I think. I forget the exact level. But to even buy the cases, you have to be in that guild.
Huh. So maybe we make it more expensive if you're just a sole player and you don't have like the full shop. You just have a nerfed shop. But I agree with them that we shouldn't force players to join a guild to spend merits. It should just be a lot less expensive and better if you're in the guilds. Question: does bots have a minimum time to submit a team, or they can submit it in seconds? They can submit it in seconds. I'm curious about that. If this is not the case, is it possible to set a minimum time on human average submit time? I don't see
a reason for that. So what Hold My Cards is trying to do is he's trying to talk to how do you make the playing field even between humans and bots. But we already do that. So Hold My Cards, we actually use ECR to balance that. And ECR is your earning capture rate, which every time you play a battle, you have a certain amount of percentage of rewards you can earn for that battle. And every battle you play, you basically quote unquote spend your ECR for the day, and it goes down, which means you earn less and less. So it disincentivizes lots and lots of play so that it equals it out between humans and bot. Whereas a bot can submit every couple of seconds a new match, ECR means it's not valuable for them to do that. And so we keep bouncing around this, and I know I'm kind of poking, Bulldog a little bit on this, but it's like we are releasing a pretty substantial change to ECR. I'm just going to go ahead and say it because we already locked it in. But so what, guys, we're going to be changing is that after ECR hits 50%, which is about 50, is a little bit over 50 battles, probably 50 or 60 battles, you're going to have an increase to a 5% burn after 50%, which means you're going to go from 50% ECR to 0 very, very quickly. On average, players will hit 0 by 70 battles. This is a huge nerf for anyone doing hundreds and hundreds of battles, which is mostly bots. But most players, on average, based on our statistics, say most players are playing under that per day. So this is going to be a huge leveling on the playing field of ECR. And I know Bulldog's going to be like, okay, well, we have to answer all these questions. But you will see the post. Then you guys can ask the questions. But that is something we are moving forward with. It will be a big deal for everyone. And most players will not be affected by this because, like we said, most players do not get up into that number of battles per day.
All right, we're running out of time, so I'm going to keep going here. Does the team have a plan for mutiny in guilds that have guild leaders being AFK for maybe 3 months or more? I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I'll go peek into that. Who is the counter of Kitty in Modern? I don't know if any of the more hardcore players have an answer. But I don't tend to think that you have to like specifically counter Kitty, but maybe you do. I think it's like a whole team that you have to build. Questions from J-Ron. CP of importance on land. Is it CP or other factors that affect productivity? E.g., if mining resources, attack damage, how much a card earns per strike, speed affecting mining rate, et cetera, et cetera. Currently, we're just thinking about it being sort of card addition and level, and that's certainly for the starters. As it moves from there, as the game develops, we might continue to add. We might add other components to that as well. Clarification on staked SBS, determination on rewards. Does the staked SBS affect how much we pull from chests? So currently it does not. How much your SBS you have staked, it doesn't impact how much you get from chess. But that is something that I think that we should be implementing. And we should, if you want to maximize your SBS rewards, you should have to stake some SBS. So we'll see what that will look like as we get closer to that. What amount is expected to be staked for each league? Aggie said in a recent interview he thinks people should afford to have a champion level deck for just a couple of grand. So how much SBS is needed to be staked for max earning potential in champ? Does 100,000 SBS staked allow 100% of SBS earnings from chess? I don't think there's easy answers to this, and this is why we have whole teams. So, as we get closer, if this is the direction that we go, we'll release some info on it. Question: will Rift Watchers push Untamed into Wild, or will it be Rebellion that does that? Rift Watchers is a side pack. It's not the main pack. So Rebellion is what will push Untamed back. The Rift Watchers would push back Dice. Byzantis says Mongoose, Llama, Mimosa, Lorna, and Kelia all counter Kitty depending on the situation. Question: any plans to increase the crowns rewards for guilds? The new changes will give us more than enough merits, but crowns are lacking. Maybe add them to the lodge rewards. Yeah, so there's a whole I haven't seen it yet, but there's a whole list of like changes for guilds that are coming. And so as I hear more from the team, we can report on it and then take some player feedback on it. Are there any plans to integrate more aspects of the game into the mobile app? Yes, that's why we hired Double Coconut to do that. Let's see what else.
So there's actually, while you're looking at those, I'll just throw one more comment. The whole long-term strategy of the mobile app is it ultimately to kill it off and replace it with our current website. So it's actually it's a Web 2 website wrapped in a mobile app. So what we want to do is actually improve our existing website to be mobile friendly and then replace in the App Store our app so it's the same code base. So then as we add new features, it's one site that's getting updated instead of two. Because right now there's two different applications running both. Our goal long term is that it would be one, so more changes move quickly out the door.
And that's why it's always lagging, is because there's literally a whole second code base that we have to update after we do the first.
Absolutely.
So, it's a nice plan. We'll see how much work it is, but that's what we're going after. Key to the Gate is asking when World Series of Splinterlands or something like a big tournament, Brawl Series, for example, at the end of the year. So I think we might see something at Splinterfest. We'll see. Lately, there have been speculation of ECR potions. Are you scared something like this will become the new quest potion and eventually a problem? If the team designs ECR potions well, maybe that's an option. And I'm not totally against it, because it kind of goes in that feeling of we want people to only have one deck rather than like 50 decks. So if you're only playing one deck and you want to play more games, it would make some sense to have a boost option. So I think the biggest problem with that is that you can't have a standardized cost, because the benefit of getting an ECR potion in bronze is very different than getting an ECR potion in champion. So there's a whole lot of modeling that would have to go into that if that's something that we do end up implementing. Questions: how many tiebreakers decided in brawls when two guilds have the same point? Is what's shown on the support page accurate? I believe that's still the case, but let's wait until Cryptomancer's on for us to do that. And that gets me 60 seconds left. So, hey, look, I'm grateful to the team. Thank you to Kudo and PJ for coming on and getting introduced and sharing their starting journey here. Grateful to the team that's with me frequently from, Hardpoint and WeirdBeard and Nate. It's great to have what I hope will be continuing appearances by 16-Bit and Bulldog. And, this next month in particular, meaning August, is one of the heaviest development months that I think I've seen since I founded this company. So I'm really excited for the things that are coming. Hopefully you are too. And we're in a great position, even though this has been a bear market and a frustrating bear market. Splinterlands kept building throughout. We have some runway to make sure that we're going to be okay. We have some really cool announcements that are coming, especially in August. August, I think, is going to be our biggest month as a company ever. So really excited for all that's coming. Glad that you guys could be here. We will see you next time, which will be a week from today. And, much thanks and much gratitude to the team. And let's go kick butt as a community together. Thanks for being here. And thanks for giving us this chance. Bye, guys.
See you guys.
'Cause chaos is here.